Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Course Design Headquarters podcast here on the YouTube channel Course Design HQ. Today is episode 2, and we're going to be talking about PGA Tour 2K23's designer compared to PGA Tour 2K21's designer, as well as talking about my kind of designer wish list for what I want to see in the new game moving forward into the future. So, roll that intro music. So first off, I really just want to say that I really like the new game. I love the playability. I think the gameplay is really good, and the designer I think is really good as well. I recently just kind of revamped my system and my PC kind of to make it a little quicker, easier for my YouTube videos and things like that. But there are a couple things I want to talk about compared 2K21 to 2K23. For one, I do think maybe in 2K21 the splining of fairways and splining of surfaces was a little bit easier because you could kind of when you're hovering around it, especially with mouse and keyboard, when you get your cursor on top of it, you can actually see it and see what point you're selecting before you have to click on it. 2K23 you have to, well, on mouse and keyboard at least, you have to click. You have to try to click the point and try to find it. I feel like that could be done a little bit easier, but I do think the 2K23 spline is also very good, especially when you're moving spline points around. It kind of shows you the edges of the fairways, so I think that's really good. Another thing that I think is really good for 2K23 is I think the trees look a lot better in the game compared to 2K21. The rendering's just a lot better, and overall, I feel like the visuals are just a little bit better than 2K21. Just kind of my opinion, but that's kind of what I think there. Overall, the designer's pretty similar. 2K21 implemented the use of multiple themes with different kinds of plants and trees and things like that. And I think that was a lot of fun coming into 2K21. We got a lot of new, really good courses. And that's something that, from TGC 2019 into the 2K games, we saw a major increase in what an approved course was, what a tour-worthy course was, because there was a lot better courses coming in. And especially in design contests, I've created a couple courses that 5 years ago would have been almost one of the best in design contests, and it's coming in like 30th place because, people are just making these incredible courses. So, I think that was a huge part of that, and I'm really glad they have that coming into 2K23. As many of you know, there was a new patch that just got released into 2K23. That was all about, it had a few new rocks. I think it had a few new trees. If you watch the Canuck, I think he made a video on it showing all the new rocks and trees and features in it. The trees look pretty normal. I don't think anyone really noticed that, but the rocks are really cool with the orange rocks, kind of simulating kind of a desert kind of look, and you could do kind of almost like a Grand Canyon kind of style course. Probably be used more in the desert than any other theme. And then the other kind of, I don't even know what to call those rocks. They're kind of like, I guess you'd use them in like either a boreal or a Swiss kind of course. I've already tried kind of using them in one of my new projects, but I think they look really cool, and they're just kind of something different to try out. I think hopefully as time goes on, we'll get more of those and more trees. Not that we don't have enough trees. We have like 55 pages of trees, but it's really nice to see that they're working on the designer and they're improving it, not just with the overall gameplay with like just golfing in the game, but with the designer as well. I think it's really cool. With that, I do want to say I feel like there are a couple parts of the designer they need to kind of fix up a little bit. In my opinion, like the mulch and the pine straw, as well as like the cart paths, aren't as good. I feel like they could do a little bit better with how the kind of pine straw looks. It looks a little flat, and for some reason the cart paths look a little weird when you sharpen and smooth them, which is kind of a problem. Kind of looks weird down the fairway a little bit. So that's just one thing I think that maybe the designer needs to kind of fix up a little bit. But overall, I think it's a really good tool. I think it works really well. I think once you learn how to use it, it's pretty easy to use. I think the Canuck tutorials are really important for that. But that's also kind of another thing when you're just learning the game, when you just got the game and you're trying to design a course. I remember when I got the game, I hopped right into the course designer, and I had no idea what to do. It's a lot of buttons. It's almost impossible to create a golf course without Canucks tutorials. Once you get the hang of it, it's simple, click, click, click. You're making a hole in no time, but that's not very like first user, first timer friendly almost. It takes a lot of practice, making a golf course isn't going to be fast. I tell everybody that it's going to take probably hundreds of hours to make a good golf course. It's tough to make it quick, and I understand that. You're not going to make a good golf course in 2 hours. It's impossible. But I feel like this game gives you full control over everything. You can customize everything in the game. Well, in the designer, I mean. Every single bush, every single piece of grass, fairway, bunkers, everything. So it should take a lot of time. It should be a little bit difficult. But I do think the Canuck tutorials are very helpful for anyone who's kind of struggling, or a first timer kind of getting into it and just trying it out. From that, we're just gonna move on to my designer wish list. I think the designer's pretty good as it is. Even though I do have a couple bits of criticism about it, but I feel like from 2K21 to 2K23, there hasn't been much change. And I don't think it needs too much change, but I feel like everyone in the design community kind of wants something to be excited about, something to look forward to, new things to try out. One of the things I really want is more themes. And in saying that, I mean kind of probably more like backdrops, because right now there's no really themes. It's just backdrops, because I can go build a links course on a Boreal course if I wanted to. Like, it's going to look exactly the same, except the backdrop is going to be Boreal style trees. I can go create a Augusta style course on a Highlands theme, because it's all about surfacing and you could use all the plants. I just feel it'd be really cool to get some different kind of backdrops or something. Maybe do maybe a volcano or something in the background, or something different like that. Or maybe you could somehow edit the backdrop a little bit, or kind of sculpt it. I don't know how this kind of stuff works, but I think that'd be really cool and give a different look to some courses and things like that. Another thing that I really would like to see, kind of come out in this newer game. I would love to see some more buildings. I think that would look really cool for just off-course stuff and clubhouses and different things off the course, and kind of you can line them up on the course, or bathrooms and stuff like that. I think that'd be really neat, as well as like some more plants, rocks, trees. We have a lot of trees, but new stuff always looks good out there. And I think that's kind of one thing that I really want to see them kind of put some effort into, because they do improve a lot with like the societies and the online play and the regular play and things like that, but they don't give enough attention to the kind of the course design feature as much, which would really be cool to see. And just we always want to see new things. My wish list isn't super big, but we just really want to see new things. I'm trying to think if there's anything else on my wish list. One little nitpicky thing that I would love to see come back from 2K21. In 21, at the top of the screen in the designer, it would show the name of your course. And I feel like that would be really helpful kind of for 2K23. Like, you never see your course name. You just type it in, and then you click OK, and it's gone. You don't see it again until you publish. So you better hope it's there. So I feel like that's in 21, that was nice, because you could see your course name, and it kind of looked kind of official, like you're working on whatever course. My course I'm working on right now is I think it's called Pine Cliff Ridge. I'm not sure what it's called. I forget. But it'd be nice to have it up in the corner, make sure you know the name of your course is, because you never know, if you put your course name in, you accidentally hit cancel instead of confirm, and you don't know, and you click enter to publish it, and it's like whatever stupid name you named it, your code name, in progress name, whatever. So I think that'd be really cool, and I think overall the format kind of the designer, the graphic format, it's pretty good. I do really like it. I think it's pretty similar to the old game. For me, playing on PC, the one thing that they did take away from the last game was the controls with the numbers on your keyboard. So you could just click one of the keys, and it would change back and forth. If you wanted to spline something, you'd hit 3 or whatever. I don't think it does that. It doesn't do that for console. But I think that was really helpful because you could do things like you could make it really precise. Like say you have a circle tee box and you place the fairway down and you want to add like a thing of light rough around it. So you'd click it down and hold. You just keep your cursor there, so you'd stay exactly on the same point. Then you navigate back with the escape button, and then you click on light rough and then space bar to select and everything. And you could place it down, and you could keep it really, really consistent. And it'd be the exact same shape in the exact same spot. You just make it a little bit bigger. Now you can't really do that because you have to move your cursor up to click on the other surface. Now this might not be a problem if you're using a controller on PC. However, I use mouse and keyboard, so that's kind of a problem for me. So, I do. People say this isn't like a big deal or anything, but for me, it kind of is, and I kind of would like to see that come back. I feel like it'd be a lot easier for the mouse and keyboard designers out there to kind of switch back and forth between surfaces and kind of make it easier to get that consistency around tee boxes and things like that. Another thing that I would like to see come back, or I don't think it's a bug or anything. I don't know if they'll actually fix this, but when you, on a PC, you can I hit FN 10 and then FN 11 to take all the stuff on the screen away, and just leaves me with a picture, or I can just fly around the course, basically. The problem is the skeleton of the holes, like the red line, it's still there when I'm in that setting, which it should not be. It wasn't in 2K21. I wonder if that's just a mistake or if that's just how they're doing it, but it makes it really tough to get like course pictures for TGC tours and things like that, because I'll have to either, move the hole out of the way so you won't see the red line, or I'll just have to play the hole and take pictures from where I'm hitting my tee shots from, which isn't necessarily really bad. You can still kind of look at that. But just kind of something to think about for the people who made the game. I wonder if that's how it's supposed to be, or I've seen people taking pictures without those red lines, so I really wonder like how they're doing that. I've tried removing like the game HUD, and it hasn't really done anything. I can remove the play or the ball, the green grid or whatever, but it doesn't remove that stuff, so kind of have to figure that out. But I have noticed like when you do, because if you're out there playing the course, it doesn't show, and your other camera angles don't work when you're just flying around. So I usually use, if you can do like a whole flyover, that kind of works, but it's kind of tough to take a picture when you're doing that. But yeah. So yeah, I think the designer's really cool. I think it's a really big feature for 2K over kind of EA Sports, and that's something we'll be talking about kind of in our next video as well. Just kind of talking about differences between 2K and EA, and seeing what EA's game could potentially have an effect on 2K, how 2K could kind of go back against EA. Obviously 2K has Tiger, they have a course designer, but EA has the Masters. So in our next video, we're going to be talking about that. Overall, again, I think the 2K23 designer is really good. Do I think it's better than 21? Probably, but they're pretty similar, honestly. I think now with the new designer and the kind of the new archetype stuff, it really changes the type of design you're going to create, I think, a little bit for designers, because not everyone's hitting 295, so you can't just put a bunker at 295, which is what I like to do a lot. I'm not a super great course designer. I like creating environments and creating golf holes too. So I think that could be really interesting. So it kind of makes you think now that, you got to maybe put a hazard at 270 and 295. And maybe, people are hitting it near 300 now. You got to put one at 310. So I think, the designer is good, and the new gameplay is a little bit different too as well. And you get boosts with your driver and different clubs. So I think it'd be really neat. One thing you do have to be aware of in the designer and when you're creating courses for other people to play is I feel like the ball kind of rolls a lot on these greens. The ball rolls a lot past the hole. And I have a couple holes on my course that you'll hit a ball up there and will roll from the back, literally off the front, 20 yards down the hill. And just from like a yellow slope or an orange slope, roll all the way off the green. So I think that's not really a designer problem. That's more of a kind of overall gameplay kind of thing. Maybe they fix that, and I know you can get different golf balls in the game that will change that a little bit. But as a person who doesn't really play as much and does more designing than playing, it does make it a little weird when you're trying to putt and you hit it the exact distance, like as the ball goes across, you get in the white spot, and it goes 20 feet past. It doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, but it's just something to look out for in the designer when you're designing your greens as well. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I was going to say about the designer. Oh, yeah, that's right. One thing that I actually really like about the designer, I can't believe I forgot this. When you actually it's on all, yeah, never mind. I was thinking just mouse and keyboard, but it actually works for all of them. When you go to select like a certain bush or plant, in the old game it kind of create that kind of fuzzy, kind of yellow kind of outline around it. And this game has that kind of purple, like really thin, really defined kind of line around the object. I think that's really useful, and it's so much easier now. Like especially when you kind of put your cursor in an area or your target mark, whatever platform you're playing on. It gives you like a list of what you can select. And like today, I was designing, and I was in a massive tree line, and I put multi-glass grass down. And in the old games, that'd be impossible to try to get that out without deleting some trees. But, I hovered over it, I scrolled down, and there's a grass cluster right at the bottom. Let's click on that and delete it. And I think that makes it a lot easier for, just be able to create and delete. And I think it makes it a lot easier. You don't have to delete other things just to delete a thing of grass or something like that. That's one thing I think they've really improved in the game. Another thing that I think could be improved, though, is the delete. I think you can delete up to 10 times, I believe. It'd be nice if you can go further back than that, I feel. Because sometimes you'll plant a bunch of rocks or a bunch of things of grass, and then you'll only be able to delete 10 of them, and you got 40 more, and you have to go individually. I guess you could multi-select, but individually select them. That takes a long time. Especially when you're trying something out. It'd be easier just to click, and go all the way back. And I don't know if it does it. I've heard people talking about this, of what they wanted in the new designer, where they wanted to have like when you delete it, it would keep that same like kind of memory of it when you play tested your course. So you could place down a couple trees, go play test, and be like, no, this tree doesn't look very good. You could go back and just delete it real quick. In the old game, I know it did not do that. It cleared its memory of what you placed down before. I have not tried that in the new game yet. So I don't really know if that's how it works, but that'd be really convenient if it were, and maybe it might be. So I can't really say anything about that right now. I think water in the game is pretty similar, honestly. I think there are a couple new features to that, as well as splines. I feel like splines are a little bit easier in this game. Kind of talked about that in the beginning. Kind of how splines I think you can set how wide the spline is or something at first. I do kind of wish the spline start off not filled. I think it's just easier. You can kind of see an outline first. I don't know why. It's just kind of my opinion. I don't really like it filling it in for me because you kind of have to go back and unfill it, and it makes putting centerline hazards kind of a hassle. But But I do like how when you can move a spline point or moving spline handles is so much easier. And I like how when you select a spline handle, you can just go in and edit it. In the old game, when you selected a spline handle, you couldn't edit the spline. So I think that's a lot better in this time around. I think they have all the same kind of textures for this game. It was a really big step up in textures from the last game. So I don't think they really need to add any textures. I think there are a couple that are a little extreme, a little bit bright. But I guess they could be used in certain lighting and stuff like that. As for the rest of the designer, I think it's a really good designer. I'm really happy with it. Kind of coming into my second year, halfway through my second year, kind of in this community. Actually, we're almost done with our second year in this community, but it's this game's a lot of fun. And I really like this designer. Obviously, we do have things we want, wishes, expanded meter, object, the object meter thing, whatever you call it, plant meter. Would love to see that just go away and let us plant whatever we wanted, but obviously, it's probably not how that works. We would love to multi-plant rocks, but we can't. But that's kind of the dream of a course designer, getting rid of that plant meter. It'd be fun to see what people would create. But people already create some pretty cool stuff without with having to restrain themselves with 100% of plant meter. But it's a really cool course designer. I really love the game. It's a great game. Probably the best golf game out there. We'll see how EA does. We're going to talk about that in our next episode of Course Design Headquarters. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this. Please let me give some feedback down below. What if you like this stuff? Do you not like this stuff? All feedback is accepted. Just give me a reason why it's good or bad. Don't just tell me it's trash, because don't tell me why. I don't really know what to improve. We're gonna start off this season with about 5 to 6 episodes. That'll be season 1. We'll see how the response is to it. I know the first episode didn't really get much. I didn't get much views, but that was only about a minute and a half of me just saying welcome to the podcast. So don't really know where we're gonna go from here. I do have a couple of videos lined up. Obviously we're talking about the EA game for sure. Probably gonna be talking about TGC tours, my experience with TGC tours and how it can actually benefit you, as well as a lot more cool content hopefully for you guys. We'll also be talking about kind of my journey on YouTube as a course designer and stuff like that. So stay tuned. A lot of new content coming up, especially on the YouTube channel. Right now this podcast is only on the YouTube channel, but maybe I can get it out to some other services out there and you can listen to it as well. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Go tell all your friends about this podcast, because we get no views over here. So I really appreciate you guys giving it a listen to. Even if it's only a couple of minutes, I really appreciate it. You guys are the best, all the subscribers out there. So I really appreciate it. So thank you guys for listening. Yes, because you're not really watching anything. But thank you guys for listening. Have a good day. I will see you guys next time.